Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Hayden, and today I have for you my thoughts on my new iPad 9th generation. Now, just a reminder, I came from the iPad Pro 9.7 that was released back in 2016. Now, this has been a huge difference. The iPad Pro is actually pre-owned, and I bought it from GameStop, and it's safe to say I will never be doing that again. It came extremely dented on all sides, and it looked like somebody literally dropped it on cement, and there was a chunk of the very corner of the iPad missing. And I do not like to see that kind of thing on iPads, but I kept it anyways just because it worked and it was fully functional. But moving to the new iPad 9th generation has been awesome. This thing is noticeably faster. My other iPad, some days, would not load YouTube at all. This thing loads YouTube and every other application I've tried very quickly. My last one also had a battery that was overcharged a lot. Now, if you know, when you overcharge your iPad or iPhone or any Apple device overnight, it eventually kills the cells in your battery, making it not last that long at all. So it is always good just to charge your battery up to like 90, 95 and watch it throughout the day. Somebody had overcharged that battery and it was dying very quickly. And I'm not used to a longer lasting battery. I charge it probably like once every 2 days. I've not gone down below. Now, another benefit of having the new iPad Pro 9 or the new iPad 9th generation is it's a little bit bigger. Now, my iPad Pro was 9.7 inches. This iPad is 10.2 inches. Now, it does not seem like a very big difference, but when you hold them in your hands, it's actually just a little bit bigger, and it looks great. Now, what I didn't like about my iPad Pro was it was rose gold on the back and it had a white bezel. Now, I went space gray, and it has a space gray bezel right on the front. And I had a space gray iPad mini before my iPad Pro, and it's just weird to go back to a black space gray bezel on the iPad 9th generation. But another thing is it's much faster. My iPad Pro had the A9X processor. My new iPad Pro has the A13. I really wish they put the M1 processor in because that would have been awesome and just worth an upgrade alone. I almost bought the iPad 8th generation, but it had 32 gigabytes of storage. Now, the Apple event was the next day, so I was like, I am definitely waiting for the Apple event to see if they bump this up, and surprisingly, they did. So the base model for the iPad 9th generation, I almost keep saying Pro, the baseline storage option is 64 gigabytes, and I'm very happy because 32, I go through very quickly. 64 is plenty. I don't even know what to put on here, besides maybe some more pictures. Now, my old iPad had a 12 megapixel camera. My new one has an 8 megapixel camera. I don't really take pictures with this, so that really doesn't bother me at all. But one of the cons is that my iPad Pro had speakers on the top and the bottom of the iPad, making it sound like there was equal sound coming from both sides. Now, my iPad 9th generation only has speakers on the bottom. When I listen to this, just speakers outright, he's a grace. You're interrupting. Now, this alone just makes it sound like that the sound is only coming out of the bottom, and it does not sound like as good to me as my iPad Pro did. Now, this bugs me a little bit, but most of the time when I listen to YouTube videos or even watching Twitch on my iPad, I am using earphones or headphones, so it doesn't really bother me. But in the future, if I were to play a video outright, it might bother me a little bit, but it's not that big enough of a deal. Something else that I do not like about this iPad is it still has a headphone jack. I mean, Apple, 2021, we're still on a headphone jack. Can we at least just take the headphone jack off and maybe even put a USB-C port? Now, the USB-C port is something else that I wish that they would have included on the iPad 9th generation, but they did include it on the new iPad mini. But I just couldn't justify the new iPad mini for it being the smaller iPad and for the price. But this still has a lightning port, but the charging block has a USB-C port. Now, the charging is still really quick, but I still would have liked to see a USB-C port on my iPad. But otherwise, that's not really a huge deal for me. I still love this thing nonetheless. Now, considering this is a newer iPad, The previous iPads did not have Apple Pencil support. Now mine does, and I'm very happy with that, but they are still on the iPad or the Apple Pencil first generation support. I would have liked to see Apple Pencil second generation support, but the difference does not really make a huge difference to me as they are both pencils. But I would have liked to had to get the new Apple Pencil second generation because I still have the first generation. But I'm not really a drawing person. I used to be, but not so much anymore, so it doesn't really matter to me. Otherwise, guys, I'm very, very happy with my new iPad 9th generation. This thing has been awesome, and after about 2 to 3 weeks using it, I would definitely not go back to my old iPad Pro because it was almost unusable some days, and that is not what I want. But otherwise, if you want to follow me outside of YouTube, all my social media is linked down below. Otherwise, I will see you guys.